Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about Colonel Angus Rickman. Rickman was the first true recurring villain in Sliders. See, they first attempted to have a villain in season 2 with the Cro-Mags. Jerry O'Connell explained that the show just wanted a central villain because every other TV show had one. And so they created the Cro-Mags, which is a human species that look like apes, and they like slide to other planets and conquer them and stuff. But he explained that the writers well, their vision was too much for fans, and fans at that point in time were like, get these people off our show, we don't want them. And so they scrapped the whole like Cro-Mag storyline, and they only got mentioned in season 3 and archive footage, but then they became central villains in season 4. In the original first episode of season 3, they tried with Logan St. Clair, a female clone version of Quinn who is extremely evil and everything. And she vowed to like get revenge on the Sliders after they screwed up her timer and her plans for like world domination and stealing like resources from like other planets and stuff. Well, other Earths, not other planets. However, for some dumb reason, the producer decided that the actress who plays Logan St. Clair is not attractive enough, because that's when they was going for the whole sex action appeal and stuff. I don't know what the world they're talking about. This woman looks good. This is a good looking woman. So they crazy. So yeah, I was looking for like a current picture to show this how good she looks in the current day. And I stumbled upon this. At first I thought it was fake until I went to the actual TMZ website, and my God. So yeah, this happened in 2021, and they still haven't found her yet for kidnapping her kids. I guess if you see her in the California area, contact the police. I don't know why she kidnapped her kids. I don't know if her ex-husband's a violent man or not, but yeah, she has disappeared, and her Instagram profile is on private. And Lord have mercy. Sometimes you just shouldn't like Google stuff on like the internet. You know, sometimes you just shouldn't, because you'd be kind of scared what you're gonna find. Like certain celebrities going crazy in the head and going into cults, and it's just sometimes it's just best you just don't Google nobody. And it's just like this one person said, you know, it's not best to meet celebrities because you're not gonna be sure what you're gonna find. Oh my God. Like, I'm not laughing as it's like a laughing man. I'm just laughing like, oh my God. Like, I can't believe this. Ugh. Like, man. I hope those kids are okay. I don't know her reason behind it. Sometimes, like, you just never know, because there's two sides to each story, and we don't know how her husband is, but they ain't found her yet. But then the showrunners finally got their wish in the form of Colonel Rickman. Rickman was a very evil, maniacal person who was always leaps ahead of like everybody else. And he's actually played by two different celebrities. The very first one was Roger Daltrey, and he's best known for being a singer. Fun fact, the Highlander himself, the guy who played Duncan MacLeod, Adrian Paul, he said that out of all the famous people to be on his show, he was more starstruck by that of Roger. Like, he just couldn't believe that, you know, he was in like that dude's presence, you know what I'm saying? And so Roger is like a huge rock singer. I've never listened to not one of his songs. I'm actually surprised I've never even bothered to listen to him. I'll probably go check it out on YouTube and see what he sounds like. Now, normally, I'm one of those type of people that feel like celebrities should stay in their own lane. If you are an actor, you act. You don't try to sing, you don't try to do anything else. If you are a model, you model unless you can actually act, and then you try to act. If you are a singer, you sing. And if you are like a TV host, then you be a TV host. And because normally when they try to like get into like other fields, it doesn't always work out that well. However, I will say I give this dude props. He did a pretty good acting job and everything. And so like his Rickman was completely different from that the other one. And I will get into the other one just a little bit later. But his Rickman was more stern, more militant. Um he was the type of person that like you knew he was evil because of the stuff you saw him do, but you always felt like he can like coerce you into thinking that he's not, and you actually kind of believe that at times because of his like presence and everything. And if you ever seen the bloopers on Sliders, he has a pretty funny one too. The bloopers are kind of hard to find. They're on the season 3 DVD, the original season 3 DVD. They might be on YouTube, I'm not sure. And so like, but I do like the certain stature that he conveys when he acts and everything. Now, of course, he wasn't able to act as a season regular because he is a singer who tours, so that's why he got replaced. And they actually replaced him in a somewhat scientific way that kind of makes sense. Now, let's actually get into Colonel Rickman, this version. So, well, technically both versions are the same, but they just act differently and they're played by different people. But this one, played by Roger, we first see him attack like a woman. And so I kind of helped that, the whole sex appeal thing was happening in the show because she's like a military person with a very short skirt and a very like sultry type leg cross. I think she was like reading like a magazine or some paper or something like that. Anyway, Colonel Rickman, he was in the Gulf War back in the day, and he got infected by some type of strange fungus type bacteria that went inside his brain. As a result, he has to have brain tissue to survive because that fungus is feeding on his brain. Now, I have no idea if the fungus is making him turn evil or whatever, but it's in his brain. Now, what's bizarre is that the show never explained one of Rickman's key features. That key feature is he has the ability to morph his face. Or actually his whole body, I guess you would say. 'Cause he takes and he does it by taking the brain tissue of other people. Now, if he morphs like in everything, then I'm assuming it's more than just the face. It has to be the whole body too. Because what if he takes brain tissue from a person that is like, another race? Well, then he can't have like a black face and a white body. So I'm assuming it does the whole body. Now, like I said before, the writers never explained this strange, bizarre feature and everything. But I guess they created it because they knew that Roger wasn't going to be on the show for that long. So if they knew that, why did they even hire him to begin with? And so, like, it's weird. I don't know if it's it has to be, I don't know. It can't be Rickman himself that transforms because nobody else on his planet can do that. It has to be that fungus inside. And this is back when the show went kind of crazy and, like, they started introducing stuff from, like, horror movies and sci-fi movies. So, it's like he takes the brain fluid from the back of people's, like, necks. And I don't know what brain fluid even looks like, but on the show it's clear, and there's no specks of blood in the syringe. So I always wondered that. And so he does that. He injects it in the back of his own, and so then his face morphs for like a few seconds, never for like a couple of minutes and stuff. Because then he'll be hard to detect, like Mystique from X-Men or something. But it's only like for a few seconds it morphs. And so, like, when he takes the brain fluid from other people, they go into a coma. And so, but they never died. They're just like in a coma. And so, one thing I've always wondered, if he's injecting it into his own brain with a needle, how is it he doesn't like not necessarily die, but how is it he doesn't have any like brain problems? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm thinking that logical kind of way. And so that's never really been explained too well. But anyway, so he's attacking a bunch of people, and a bunch of people in comas, and they have no idea who it is. And you'd think the scientists and doctors on the world should be able to figure it out, because they deduce that a fungus is in his brain and he needs brain fluid tissue to survive. And so when they get these coma patients, they notice they all have like a hole in the back of their neck. And when they do like, well, I guess they don't do an autopsy because they're not dead yet, so they don't know what's been extracted for them. But you think that somebody will be able to put two and two together. You know what I'm saying? That's always weirded me out. And so on this planet, this episode is the Exodus. And then so this is when the sliders slide to this planet and they meet Maggie Beckett. Rickman has ordered the death of Jerebrick, professor, because he's studying these pulsars that is coming to Earth. And Rickman doesn't want the whole world to know that and panic and stuff. But only like the people in like the military know about this. Or at least in his military regime and stuff. Even the president doesn't even know that much. And so Rickman has decided, all right, look, this thing's about to kill us. I don't want to die. We need a solution. So Dr. Jensen, who is Maggie's husband, he comes up with sliding technology. But he's no Quinn Mallory. He just can't quite figure it out. And so when the sliders go there, they encounter Maggie. And then later they get arrested and they get interrogated. Once Rickman finds out that they are sliders and everything, he now has his Hail Mary, his miracle. So he can now slide to other worlds and everything. And so he has Quinn and them, work on their timer. And he's going to help try to convince them to help to get them home and stuff like that. So then he asks for Wade to do something very interesting. He wants to pick 150 people to go on the next world. But he wants the best of the best. He tells her he wants scientists, politicians, military people, stuff like that, doctors, teachers and stuff. The best of the best so that their world can survive and everything. She doesn't feel comfortable doing this because she's going to make millions go to their deaths. And he convinces her that by doing this, you will help create new millions and this and that. And that he can't make this list and he can't ask none of his people to have this, make this list because they will be biased. And so she does it and everything. So Quinn is hoping Jensen work on a timer, and then him and Maggie later on slide to other worlds to find one for the new people. And this is when the whole love affair thing starts to happen between Quinn and Maggie, where the sparks are flying and they want to do stuff. But of course she is married. And so I forget this little boy's name, but Rembrandt befriends a person. And because the boy is upset because his mom's in the hospital, and then later on his dad is, because his dad got attacked by, of course, Rickman. And the whole metamorphosis thing, it would have been funny if it would have lasted more than a couple of seconds, because then he'll have to change his voice to the other people's voice, right? And so, God, I forgot this little boy, Malcolm. I think it is Malcolm. Is it Malcolm? I want to say Marcus, but I think it's Malcolm. For some reason, the name Malcolm is just floating in my head. Either that or Malcolm and Eddie, the UPN comedy show. Anyway, so Rembrandt befriends this dude, and and all this other stuff. And Rembrandt is trying to get Malcolm on this list so that he can slide to the new world and live. But not Maggie, but Wade is kind of oh man, I can't believe you're asking me to do this. This is hard enough, and if I put him on the list, I have to take somebody off and all this other stuff. And because I think his parents are going to that world or whatever, and so they want, and so what is it? So, but I keep saying Maggie, but Wade does it anyway. So at some point in time, Rickman's scheme, starts to unravel. And it starts by like the him and the professor getting into an argument. I forget why. Oh no, I remember why. The professor did some calculations and he saw that more than 150 people can go to this world, so why only 150? When he said he's going to report Rickman, Rickman decides he's going to attack him. He only takes half the brain fluid because Malcolm startled Rickman. He wasn't able to get like a full dose. So then, at some point in time, Jensen sees him taking, I think, like no, wait, was it Jensen? Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I forget. No, Malcolm saw Rickman attack either Jensen or the professor. I forget which one. But then Jensen also saw him doing some like shady stuff, and then he shoots Jensen. He tells Maggie that like oh the mob just like attacked him and killed him and everything. Rickman also ordered his military troops to kill the mob that was outside trying to get into the gate so they can slide to a new world. So at some point in time, I think it was the Sliders. Well, of course it was them, but I forget exactly which ones. I know it was Quinn and I know it was Wade. I think it was also Rembrandt. They discovered what happened to Rickman back in the Gulf War with the fungus and everything. So as they try to like stop him and everything, he shoots the professor. And so all the 150 people in Maggie who slid in the other world. Now, there's a reason why he wanted those 150 people because the Sliders figured that why is he taking coma patients to this new world that makes like no sense and everything. And so they determined that those coma patients DNA is compatible, well the brain tissue is compatible with like that of Rickman's. And so if they was able to determine that, how come the doctors and the scientists weren't able to figure out who's responsible for the coma patients? And so now they figure, oh, that's why he wanted those 150 people. And so like he can survive off their brain tissue. Now, one thing that's kind of weird is kind of like, okay, Rickman was able to get away with this for a while, but once he slides to like a new world and he starts putting people in like comas, they're gonna kind of get suspicious and start like interrogating people. So at some point he would have got found out. So his plan isn't all that sound. I guess he figured he would slide to like another world and come back, but then once he comes back, they'll try to like capture him. So anyways, on this new world, they tell Maggie what's up. They go to find him and everything, and he takes Maggie like hostage, but then Quinn does his superhero thing to save the day, and Rickman takes the timer and slides. Now, the Sliders, Maggie and Quinn, they want revenge. However, once they realize that the coordinates to their home planet is in his timer, now they are on a new mission. And this happens in like the second half of like the season. So by this time, we get a brand new Rickman, played by British actor Neil Dickinson. Now he stars in tons of like American and British movies and TV shows, and he still acts till this day. And so this Rickman is completely different. Now there's a reason why his face is different other than a production reason. See, when he slid to another world, he had to get brain tissue fluid, and he did it with non-compatible donors. All those different donors meshed around and morphed his face to what we see now. And now it's permanent. Now this one doesn't make no sense. Since you think that every time he would like, use brain fluid from somebody else that's compatible, maybe it will reconstruct his face back to what it used to be, but it's not. And not only that, but his voice has now changed and his hair has changed and everything about him has changed. Because of course he's played by a new person. Now, his personality is a whole lot more different too. This version of Rickman is more evil and everything. He's more sinister. He's slippery. He's more like snake-like. He's more like a James Bond villain than he was portrayed when Roger portrayed him. He is what you think of as a traditional TV show, movie type villain. A very evil, very maniacal, very heartless, soulless type person. Everything about this dude is different. So I'm kind of surprised that Neil played him so differently. You'd think he would play him more like Roger did, but he didn't. So, and I guess because he's actually a trained actor and everything, he decided he would bring more like character to like this character and everything, more gravitas to this character and stuff. And so for the most part, I like both versions. Um, it's just weird how they act differently. And so, anyways, so now, of course, the sliders, they're confused by why he looks the way he does. And pretty much what he just does is just slide to like new worlds and taking brain donor tissue and trying to avoid the sliders. He's sick and tired of the sliders. He wants them to just leave him alone. And of course, they won't because Maggie wants to kill him. And so does Quinn at this point in time. And so, like, the thing about Rickman that's interesting is that he trained Maggie. So Maggie knows all of his techniques, but there's some things that he didn't show her. And not only that, but Rickman is always like, he's more than 2 steps ahead. He's about 5 steps ahead of like, well, he's 2 steps ahead of the sliders and about 5 steps ahead of that of Maggie. He's always able to like outsmart her and everything when he goes to like these different worlds. When he went on to the vampire world, he decided he was going to use like the name of another like Colonel Rickman and pretend and put like his whatchamacallit in there, his like not his badge, but God, what do they call them, military thing? They're I forget there's like these little pins that they wear. I forget what they call it, but he puts that in there. I think it's dog tags, probably something like that. He puts something in there to make her think that that's him and everything. And so, like, cause he's trying to trick her into thinking that he's dead and that he's died, and so that she will leave him alone and stuff. Um, Oh no, wait, maybe he didn't leave his dog tags. I think she said that when a military person dies, they put their dog tags there. And so when they went looking for him, they didn't see no dog tags. It's one of those two. Either he did put them or he didn't. I can't quite remember and stuff. Only because that vampire episode is just one strange episode that I try to like block out my head. And so, but he's always a couple of steps ahead. Like when they went back to that dinosaur world where they left 150 people, um, he is busy scheming, taking like attacking the people of that world and everything. And then when they try to ambush him, he is on to Maggie. Like he knows her techniques because he taught her his techniques, right? And so when they try to ambush him, he's able to turn the tables around and kidnap Malcolm and force him to lie to the sliders and everything. And so I forget what episode this is in. It might be the fog episode. But we learn of Maggie's infidelities to her husband. We learn that Maggie and Rickman had an affair back in the day. So Maggie is a bad woman who's always cheating on her husband and stuff. And so we also get to see, like, when he slides to that fog world, the other Quinn from, like, the pilot. The rebel Quinn, who now turns bad and dyed his hair blonde and has tribal makeup on his face. Originally, he was going to kill Rickman. But Rickman told him, like, look, man, I know about your double Quinn and da-da-da-da-da, and I can help get you him because he's going to follow me and everything. So they devise a plan, and he fixes Rickman's timer and everything. And so Rickman finally meets his demise with a very strange look on his face. So in the last episode of season 3, he ends up like taking the brain tissue of one of those hybrid mutant looking things. And so this causes Rickman's face to change, and it is but ugly. So of course he convinces, like, you know, the doctor dude to help him and everything like that. And so, but of course he betrays the doctor dude and they're all like, oh, you left me with tons of like DNA samples and blah 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 and stuff like that. So in a way he convinces his hybrids to like join him to attack that of the sliders. And of course, when the Sliders finally do get Rickman's timer, he is outraged and he goes hunting for them. And as they're on a cliff getting ready to slide, here comes Rickman and the hybrids. It's a little bit of a scuffle here and there, and then Quinn forces, like, Wade and Rembrandt to slide. And as not Rembrandt, but as Rickman is trying to like get the timer back, he leaps and he falls off a cliff and he dies. So finally, the dude has now died. And the good thing about that is that Quinn and Maggie didn't have to get their hands dirty by killing him, because this would have put Quinn on a very dark path. And so I have to say, as far as like villains come, he was a pretty like interesting villain and stuff. And it's just that he's so evil and soulless. He only cares about himself or in his own life. Now you think that when he slid to other worlds, he would have went to the doctors and the scientists and be like, hey, I got this thing in my brain. Can you fix it? And everything. And that would have been like the solution. But of course, they wanted him to be a recurring villain and stuff. And so it is interesting how they made him a villain, how they kept him, especially how they had to get two different actors to like play him. And it does make you wonder, because this is the only Rickman that we know of. When they slid to other worlds, we never got to see any of his doubles. That would have been some really good juicy drama if they would have met his doubles, and of course they were nice and everything. And so like it is quite a shame that like they got rid of him, but he was a bad dude and they had to like off their villain. And it's just quite a shame that we never got to see like another version of him on like another world. And that would have been interesting. What if another Rickman would have been evil? What if he would have been nice? What if he would have joined the team? There were so many endless possibilities they could have went down, but they didn't. They just kept it in a very straightforward line and didn't want to curve it in like no kind of way. And so that's basically just like Angus like Rickman. And so yeah, all right, bye.